What's up, guys? I'm just a gamer, and I'm back with another reaction video. Once again, I am combing through all the Gamescom footage, interviews, and events, and I'm basically watching and reacting to the ones that interested me. And next up is Silent Hill F, which I'm very curious about just because I've been hearing quite a bit of discord about the game, because apparently, like, it's actually very combat focused, which I mean, I've played a couple of them. I'm not a purist. I'm not like, obsessed with the series or anything like that. So I just, you know, I find it kind of weird that people are upset that it's like combat focused. Uh, and I'll probably get into that a little later. But for now, let's just watch to see what they have to say and what they're going to show because I'm very curious about this game. So enough of me talking. Let's get into it.
Despite the massive hype for Silent Hill F, I think it's pretty safe to say that longtime series fans have been a little bit concerned about what's been perceived to be a shift in combat styles towards something a little bit more Souls-like. In order to calm those fears, I decided to speak to series producer Okamoto-san and director Al Yang to find out exactly how the combat works.
Okay. Okay.
So this is one of the things that we see the term Souls-like being thrown around on the internet quite a bit, and I think it's a label that's a little bit disingenuous right now.
I was literally just about to say the same thing that people like whenever they see an action game in general nowadays, it's a Souls like, which is that's not how that works. So there has been plenty of like games that have been labeled as Souls likes, and they're not really Souls like in the sense of combat. Yes, the mechanic of you know hold like losing your souls, that's what makes it a Souls like. But the fact that if combat's R1 and R2 or heavy and light or some shit and like that, it's like that has never been what a Souls like is. That's not what defines a Souls like. A Souls like is the fact of you losing your resource and having to go get it back when you die. That's what I've always perceived as a Souls like. And this like really weird way of like people just any type of action game, oh, Souls like. It's like that's not what a Souls like is. So I just wanted to say that real quick. Okay, I'm sorry.
So I think a lot of modern players, they'll see like, oh, there's a stamina meter, there's a dodge, and they're like, okay, it's a Souls-like. But to be very honest, a lot of these things we actually pulled from classic Silent Hill titles. So if you look at Silent Hill 4, there's a charge meter in there for your attacks, kind of like our focus meter.
Okay, that was actually another thing I was gonna say. Like when I mentioned earlier that I was gonna talk about like that people were upset because it's like really combat focused, and Silent Hill has done that in the past. I was really about to say Silent Hill 4, Silent Hill. God, what was the name of it? The one that it was actually like you actually played as a soldier, so he actually knew actual combat, and then even Downpour, if I'm not mistaken. So like people complaining that oh it's so combat focused. I'm just like okay yeah, but like there have been Silent Hill games in the past that have been more combat focused than others. It's not a new thing. I was okay. Wow. Okay. All right.
And then for even Silent Hill 3, there's a stamina meter. You see it later on, but these things aren't new and exclusive to Souls-like games. They've been part of action horror games for a very, very long time. And for us, we think it's
And not even just action horror games. There have been just plain ass action games in the past that have had stamina bars. Like the Souls games or Dark Souls, whatever, they did not like patented that. That has been around before.
again, it's a label that if you have these things, you're labeled as a Souls-like. And we'd like to reiterate that we are an action horror game, but we are not a Souls-like. When we were looking at Silent Hill F, this is the first Silent Hill title for a very long time. And of course, we wanted to respect the older fans out there, but also kind of bring in kind of fresh blood, maybe people who haven't played Silent Hill. And then because of this, we spent a lot of time kind of looking at the classic titles and be like, okay, what's the gameplay that people could expect here? But what's also some gameplay that newer fans might be interested in? And one of the things we really settled on is Silent Hill 4 had a very extensive combat system that was also very melee focused. So from here, we basically said, okay, if we're going to do this, we still have to have all the trademarks of classic kind of a horror gaming, traditional horror gaming combat. So there's some things that are very interesting and very similar, which is like distance. If you are closer to someone in a traditional horror game with guns, then it means it's more dangerous, you know? And then because of that, you have things like kind of aiming, your crosshairs, they have to kind of go in. There's a lot of time, there's a lot of weight. It slows down the entire pacing of the game. So because we settled on melee combat, because we want to kind of go in a fresh direction, we had to take a lot of these core systems that slowed down the pace, that regulated combat in traditional horror games, and then find an analogy for them in our title. So again, aiming and then crosshairs going down is kind of like our focus meter. Again, there's precedence for this. If you look back to Silent Hill 3, Heather, again, not the biggest character out there, not full of muscles, kind of deal. So again, we looked to her for a lot of inspiration. And on the combat side, you'll notice we focused on two major things. One is that you don't feel like a superhero. There's a lot of fighting, there's a lot of combat, but it shouldn't feel like you're just one-shotting everything. You're just crazy overpowered. Honestly, it's always a fight for survival. It's tense. You have to pick your fights very carefully because you have limited resources here. And at the same time, we took a lot of effort in designing her emotions, all the animations. So it's like she's struggling. These are heavy weapons. She's flailing wildly. It's less about skill and more about survival. And I hope the players can kind of see that through the way that she acts and then her emotions.
So for those types of players, we have a type of experience in the form of a difficulty setting called story mode. So for players who want that type of experience, we would like to recommend the story mode difficulty.
Oh. Eternal Darkness
for the
vibes?
Sandy system, this is one of the support mechanics for the game. And as we said before, we want to put the game in a more action-based focus, but again, we don't want to alienate kind of classic Silent Hill players or players who might not be as familiar with action games. So Sandy system, what it allows you to do is, for instance, there are counters in the game and you have to kind of grab the right timing for it. But by expending this resource, it kind of slows everything down. It slows the pace of the game down so that players are able to easier grasp this thing or execute stronger moves. So a good analogy is in classic traditional range-based horror games, you have to wait for the crosshair to shrink before you get maximum damage. And again, that slows the pacing of the game down. For us, the focus is kind of the same deal with using the Sandy system. It's like, okay, I'm really trying to pay attention to the monster here. Until my gauge fills up, I can unleash a stronger, like a headshot attack. But in the middle, if they decide to attack me, then I have a much stronger window to basically counter back. So it's there to really regulate the pace of the gameplay and to kind of help the player defeat combat easier.
It's got my home too.
Okay, I was in my mind, I was like, oh shit, are they doing Eternal Darkness where like when the sanity runs out, crazy shit starts happening? That would be, I wish more games did that. That was such a cool mechanic. I wish a lot more games did that.
The holes, the doors.
Like, more often than not, they're just like, oh, sanity's gone, that means you've gone crazy and you die, or game over, or something. Like, they never really experiment with like, hey, your sanity's gone, so like you can't see a lot. Not many games do it, and I wish a lot more did.
Everything's changed.
So the types of elements that longtime fans can expect from this game are the types of elements that you would expect from traditional Silent Hill games, like the environment, the graphics, the storytelling. All of those traditional elements, players can expect to find those. And for this game, the core aspect of the game's narrative focuses around the protagonist Hinako and her struggles of trying to fight the societal oppression that women face. So So for this game, players can follow her journey and follow along her path towards trying to fight back against such types of suppression. So from there, yes, again, if you try out the story mode, you'll be able to follow her journey very much up close.
Because it's the newest game in a very long kind of running series, and it's been a bit of a hiatus. For us, the most important things is to go back and grab the atmosphere, like that classic tension and dread, the kind of not knowing what's around the corner. Like, I think for us, the atmosphere in Silent Hill is something very unique that no other game has, so we spent a lot of time making sure that fans would kind of recognize this, not just from the gameplay, but also from, there's some story deep cuts that I think some longtime fans might pick up on and enjoy. But then just like in the beginning of the game, as you're walking down the hill, the empty kind of town might seem familiar to some longtime fans. So some things aren't very direct, for instance, but we try to make a lot of things in the game that would feel at home to a lot of these longtime fans.
With that in mind, today's a bit too extraordinary.
We know the release date already.
Yes, Silent Hill Elf will be coming out in September 25th on the Xbox platforms, PS5, Steam, Epic Store, and Microsoft
Who
Windows.
are you? Please. Just die.
Massive thanks there to Okamoto-san and Al Yang for answering my questions. Now, one thing I want to bring up is something they told me off camera, and that is that the gameplay of Silent Hill F is actually cyclical, and that there are multiple endings that you can unlock through repeated play. And also that as you play, you can unlock new skills and strengths for Hinako. That means if you start on story difficulty and then play on harder difficulties, you'll have experience from the playtime before, and Hinako will be slightly stronger than before. This is a game that's
Whoa.
meant to be replayed multiple times, so there is no shame in starting the game on story mode, experiencing that classic Silent Hill story, and then going in and experiencing some of that harder combat.
Interesting.
Anyway, hopefully this has calmed your fears a little bit, but for more about Silent Hill F, stay tuned to us here at Gamescom 2025.
Okay. That's interesting. The fact that like you actually are supposed to replay the game multiple times to like get different endings and stuff like that. I'm curious, like, so wow, because I'm personally somebody who always plays normal difficulty first, pretty much no matter what, and then if I want to play it again, I'll try bumping it up. It's very rarely that I just start off on hard. But so I'm curious if this is a game that I would maybe try because of what he said. Try story, then going up the ranks, or if you just start at normal's fine and then go up from there as well. Like if there's like, is there a difference between going through all the difficulties, or just going through normal and then up is enough to get like hopefully like the true ending, I guess maybe. Let's be honest, no Silent Hill ever has like I think a true ending. They're all just crazy endings. But regardless, yeah, that's interesting. That's a really cool thing. I actually dig that a lot. But all right, that was the Gamescom interview for Silent Hill F, and oh my god, like they literally went through everything I wanted to talk about. At like the fact that like people say like they use the term Souls-like too freely nowadays, where like they see any action game and it's like, oh, Souls-like. It's like that's not what a Souls-like is. Souls did not invent the stamina system. There have been previous games that had a stamina system. What they invented, what was the big thing was the fact of like, you have souls, you die, you drop them, and you can run and get them back. And just like, that's basically like the main thing, because there have been plenty of games that like, there's like, Souls-like was an amalgamation of a variety of different systems that had existed previously. They just did it like a certain way and they perfected it. I'll just say it like that. And I just feel like too often people use the term Souls-like to like describe way too many games. And even Phantom Blade Zero S game, they even said themselves that, hey, like, we're not really we're like somewhere between a Souls like and like a Witcher and Baldur's Gate. Like they're in between there. Like they're not a pure Souls like, and I feel like too many people use that term to describe action games when that's not like they're clearly not Souls likes. And I just like, so happy. I'm just cause like even when Stellar Blade was first shown and people were like, oh, it's like a Souls like, and it's like, what? No, it's not at all. What the hell are you talking about? And then when the game came out, I was like, okay, no, it's not like that. It's like, yeah, obviously, of course. So it was just like, I feel like that term is used too loosely nowadays, and I'm happy that they reiterated that here. They explained it more and stuff like that, and yeah. Sorry, went off on a tangent, but I just wanted to get that off my chest. But that was awesome. That was great. I'm really happy to see this game. I'm liking how it's coming out. I'm intrigued by the combat system, but even more so by the fact of what he said at the end about how, like, you know, playing the game at different difficulties doesn't reset you. You actually grow stronger, and perhaps that's how you get different endings as well. So yeah, super interesting, super cool, and I can't wait to learn and see more. But those are my thoughts. That's my reaction. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like or comment down below. I'd appreciate all feedback. I alternate between streaming on Twitch and YouTube because I have not figured out multi-streaming. So if you like, you can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/justagamerank, all together in word, or you can click the link below. And on YouTube, just hit that notification to know when I go live. But what are your thoughts on Silent Hill F? What are your thoughts on, like, the new focus on combat? What are your thoughts on, like, you know, in general, like the replayability of it? Let me know in the comments down below. And what are your thoughts on my whole Souls-like tirade? Are you like me and you're sick of people always using that to describe games and they're clearly not Souls-like? Or like, are you someone who's you do use that term, you know, and you do feel like they are Souls-like in that sense? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear from you guys. But regardless, thank you for watching, and until next time, take care and have a good game.